let's pretend that you and I are part of the same crew. You bring a friend, I bring a friend. We have 4, just like in I Love Boosters. What would you boost, and what would your role be?
Oh, what am I boosting?
Yeah, what are we boosting here? Yeah, let's pretend it's New
Ooh.
York. Let's
Oh
pretend
shit.
we choose a boutique in Soho. What are we boosting?
Oh no. Oh damn.
Mia, Christ on the cross with his fucking dick out. It's I Love Boosters on Do You See What I Mean?
What would be your biggest challenge in a job like this?
I shop here a lot, and I feel like I should have it all. Just want to take it all home, eat it up, and shoot it out my eyes. I just feel like, give it to me. It's mine anyway.
That is such a good answer.
What's a booster?
Somebody that steal clothes from the store and sell it at a discount price?
It's like community service.
I call it triple F. Fashion, forward, philanthropy. I know how to spell philanthropy. Branding, though.
Together, we empty out every single Metro designer in the Bay Area.
It's the Velvet Gang. They're boosting from my stores.
Missy Smith knows we exist.
They take my shit and sell it because they're low-class urban bitches. With all due respect to urban bitches. I'm an innovator making fucking art.
Why are the nipples so big?
Folks, you may not know this, but our dear pal Mia over there at 324 Cakebread Street in Brooklyn, she works in fashion, and I'm so happy to talk about a film about fashion and fashioned fabulously. And it is Boots Riley's second major feature. He's also done some TV and a ton of music and a ton of art. It's called I Love Boosters, and it features Demi Moore, Kiki Palmer, Naomi Ackie, a delicious Taylor Page, Poppy Lou, Will Poulter, Lakeith Stanfield, John Cheadle, and Kara Young. And we saw this separately, Mia, about which I'm so sad because I just laughed
Yes.
my ass off at this one. Did
Oh, I
you?
was laughing. Oh, I was laughing. I
Oh
was
my
laughing.
God. Fucking so
The
many
friend I went to go see
gems.
this one with kept leaning over and going, I should have been high. I should have been high. And I'm like, I'm not high. I'm not high. It's just funny.
It kind of makes you feel high. Every color of the rainbow is in this picture. So Boots Riley, I'm holding up my profile in the New Yorker, Mia, because I read the New Yorker. I'm cultured. So this profile on Boots Riley by Emily Nussbaum, I encourage you, if you're a reader, to check it out. It's awesome. Oakland is his milieu, but his family goes way back from disparate places before that. So he was born in Chicago, moved to Oakland as a youth, but his father's family came from sharecroppers in North Carolina. On his grandparental side, on his mom's side, he has German Jewish heritage. And get this, his German Jewish relatives were socialists who fought the resistance and then fled the Nazis. And I mention this because all of these threads help inform his socialism and his communism. Like he's a political musician and performance artist and filmmaker. His name comes from when he was a little boy.
Is he a socialist? Or is he a communist? Or is he just into some of those concepts?
Well, if you think about Sorry to Bother You from 2018, which was made for $3 million, made 18, it's so good. It features Lakeith Stanfield as a guy who works at a call center, and he's black, and he realizes if he talks in his white voice, he climbs the corporate ladder. Just that alone is a hysterical bit, you know.
And see, I think that's like, I feel like, you know, this is a very American thing. It's like if you have any criticism about the capitalist system, people automatically reach for, well, then you must be into that socialist or communist stuff. And it's like, look, I can have some criticisms about this and still, what is it? I think, do they have a line in this movie being like somewhat capitalist, man? Like, you can still enjoy capitalism and have criticism about it. And it doesn't
Sure, of
swing.
course. But his
Yeah.
themes are about labor equality and citizen
Yes.
equality, and he's got a lot of communist and socialist. I mean, these are things that he said. I'm not kind of
No,
paraphrasing,
no,
but
no, no. That's why I'm like
this is
asking.
his
Yeah, yeah.
this is his background. Yeah, he started off in music. I don't know if you've heard of a group called the Coup, COUP. That's his kind
Mm.
of rap group. But he became known, even though he was trying to imitate Ice Cube. He loved Ice Cube, but he became known as like the quote unquote conscious rapper. I bet today he would be called woke, but he didn't like that at the
No,
time.
no,
But he was
no, no, no.
he
We
was
used to
values
call
driven.
that, we used to call it rap with a message.
Rap with a message. I love it. Yeah, yeah,
I think that was a whole genre. It's like, oh, did you
yeah.
like this artist? Like,
Right.
not really. It's more like rap with a message.
Yeah, yeah. Totally.
All right,
He
okay.
he wore these floor shine boots that he got from his father, and he was called Boots back at the time when he was a kid, and he acquired this nickname. He didn't love it, but he used it as part of his musical career, his persona, and he's been kind of reinventing himself. And that story matches his filmmaking, which is just bursting with ideas. Later on in the episode, we're going to talk about other films and filmmakers that have just a ton of ideas packed in, and this one is no exception. The costumes were done by Shirley Kurata. If you remember Everything Everywhere All at Once, that very chaotic Best Picture from a couple years ago. Remember with
Oh, yeah, yes, yes,
Michelle Yeoh,
yes.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. That
She
was a
is
favorite.
she's amazing. If you look her up, she has wide circular black rimmed glasses that kind of remind me of Edith Head, who's one of the first great costume designers. She did Hitchcock, and she did a lot of great stuff in the 50s, 60s, 70s. She is working her tail off, Mia. And I also read in this New Yorker profile that Boots and Karada and all the like a lot of the crew, they were wearing crazy stuff. You know, a lot of times when you go on a film shoot, everybody's in a black T-shirt. Show blacks is what we call them in corporate events. But these folks are bringing that creativity even behind the camera. The production is by Christopher Glass. He's doing great jobs here too. There's some stop motion in this picture. It's by Mystery Meat Media, which is also from Oakland, and the music is done by Tune Yards. Do you know Tune Yards, Mia? Kind of a kind
No,
of
I
funk
do not
band.
know Tune Yards.
Yeah, they're also from Oakland, and so this is an example of kind of like Sinners, where Ryan Coogler is bringing all his best pals together, folks he's known for over a decade.
Mm.
Boots has brought together Boots, like I know him. Mr. Riley has brought together
Mr. Boots.
all of Mr. Boots has brought together all these people that he knows, along with a cast of some folks like Stanfield, with whom he's worked before. Other folks are new to him, like Keke Palmer, Naomi Ackie, and Demi Moore. So the premise for our listeners is that a booster is someone who boosts or lifts or steals from these fashion stores and resells it on the street. So that's what it's named for. Mia, I want to put this in your head for later in the episode. I want to ask you in about 20 minutes what you would boost if you were a booster and what your role would be. So start to think about that.
Oh.
This is a mile a minute. It's joke density. It's physical bits. The title of this profile is called Marx Brother. The Marx Brothers were these Broadway vaudeville troupe of four brothers who did a ton of great slapstick and musical comedy. It's just got so much going on with it. So our lead is Keke Palmer. She and Naomi Ackie are kind of the two core, along with Taylor Page. They're boosting. They're going into the stores that are selling these way overpriced clothes by a mega bitch played by Demi Moore, who plays it just deliciously. I thought it was a total blast. But before we go any further, tell me what you thought overall. Did this meet your expectations? Did you laugh? What did you think of it?
I already knew it was going to be good. And I
Yeah,
already
me
knew
too.
from the previews that they didn't put all the jokes in the previews. So there's some movies where you'll be like, oh, this comedy's coming out. And you could just tell they grabbed
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
best jokes they could. This one was, it wasn't just that it's funny. It doesn't, there's some movies I keep talking about, they just beat the metaphor in the head. They just keep
Yeah.
attacking at this concept. And this movie doesn't do that. It just sort of plays with it like a kitten. and
Ooh,
it just
feline
keeps the ball
reference.
up in the air, and yeah, it's fun. So I saw this movie now twice because I remember watching it thinking, yeah, I'd see this again. Like,
Oh my
it's
gosh, it's
funny.
totally worth it. Yeah.
But I went with somebody who works in retail,
Oh,
and I will say they didn't like it.
wait, why?
Okay, I'm gonna say this. If you worked in retail, this movie has lots of jokes. It's kind of like the office space of retail
Oh, it's
working,
wonderful.
whether
Yeah.
it's like, I think a lot of people love Clerks, or if you like Mallrats or whatever, but this one hits
Empire
hard with
Records
like
with Liv Tyler.
Empire Records, if you worked in
Yeah.
the movie or the record store, like. But I Love Boosters kind of hits you if you ever worked at any like mall, or you ever worked at any department store, like the vibes of the managers, the meetings that you have on the
Right.
floor. How about
Oh
the
my
stupid
God.
interviews? Let me tell you, I've done
So
some stupid
good.
interviews for retail jobs. But the real thing is like people coming in to steal product, and depending on the state you live and work in, which in this case, this is California. I did work retail in San Francisco, y'all. Let me tell you, I remember my first day, someone literally they boosted a whole stack of denim off the. I was the greeter for the
Wow.
front of
Oh,
the store.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm up there greeting, and I'm, when nobody's coming in, you got to look busy. You straighten up a little bit. And I guess my back was turned to the wrong door. Somebody
Yep.
ran in and took a whole stack of jeans off the table and ran out.
Hysterical.
And I remember
Yep.
somebody on the second floor was like, Mia. And I'm like, well, I'm looking back to the door, completely missed the whole crime. But I remember thinking, like, I'm so sorry, but they don't pay me any money to stop him. I don't know what they thought was going to happen if I was witnessing this particular crime, because I'm not wrestling a thief. But I do remember there were some real gung-ho people who just felt like catching somebody was, and I'm like, are you crazy? Like, we make minimum wage, okay?
That's right.
In
Which
California,
back then was
like,
probably $5 to $10 an hour. I mean, today it's 15 in New York. But yeah, I worked at the Olive Garden for $2 an hour. I worked at Hollywood Video for $6 an hour. You're not kidding. These are very
it's like
lowly, and
somebody
the
comes
film
and-
comments on
yeah.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, why am I going to put myself in danger? So there was this sort of element where, loss prevention, becomes a part of your life.
Right.
When you are working in retail, you are, who's watching downstairs on the cameras, whether or not you're going to have security that day. I've
Right.
had some fun security guards at some of the stores I've worked at.
I bet.
They become a part of the employee crew, but just in a slightly different type of world and shift.
A layered
But
way. Yeah.
yes,
Right.
but I remember thinking with my friend, I'm like, if you work in retail and this is something that you have to like deal with, report on, say something about it. It is interesting because when I lived in San Francisco, it was a lot of racial profiling going on, y'all. It was wild.
Oh, good point.
But it wasn't
Good
just
point.
the retail spaces, it was the restaurants too. So I do remember a friend of mine, we both were at Diesel, okay, but he also worked at a restaurant. He was like, yo, the thing is, when Black people come in, they'll, the wait staff will just say, Oakland's here. And it's to signal
interesting.
that you have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
table. Yeah, but it's also like to signal like, I gotta go deal with a table full of Black customers.
No,
So San
for
Francisco
sure.
was a vibe.
Yeah.
So watching this particular movie, I thought it was hitting all of the humor of like working in retail, but also probably what the other end is like, which is just trying to figure out how to take it.
Demi Moore is shown as this woman who leads this fashion empire, which of course is run by sweatshops in Asia, which the film does not leave out. And she lives in this apartment where the floor is at like 30-degree angle, and that is a direct reference to a luxury apartment building in San Francisco called Millennium Tower. And if anybody is from the Bay Area, they know that this is a tower into which people moved and bought expensive apartments. The tower is now leaning in one direction 26 inches. The film is so right on as far as its political commentary. These boosters, they go into a store, there's 3 black girls, and they're like, where's the white girl? We need a white girl. And to your point, the white girl distracts the staff so that the boosters can boost some of the product. The film knows everything that you're talking about, I think, in my opinion, and it's commenting on it, it's joking on it. There's a bit where a black girl's like, oh, the white girl's not here? Wait. She holds her breath, and then her face becomes a little more white. That is fucking hysterical. That is a political joke. That is a funny joke. That is a retail shopper profile joke. I mean, that's like 30 seconds of the picture, and there are 30 more of these bits. That's why I think this is so great. There's so many different creative ideas in it.
And it's so real to the Bay Area. So I moved to the Bay Area from Long Beach, and I'm originally from Austin, Texas. But Austin and San Francisco had a lot in common. So it was kind of like, I remember getting to San Francisco, and I remember we went shopping down in the Union Square area. And I remember thinking, the shopping here feels like Austin, like really profile-y. But I hadn't experienced that as when I was in San Antonio, or I lived in San Antonio, and I didn't experience that in Long Beach. So it was very noticeable, later, but I remember thinking to myself, like, this is where that political energy comes from all of these Bay Area artists, It's like,
and it is true that San Francisco does not have a large amount of black people. I mean, there was that film that came out 10 or 15 years ago, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Even the title tells some of that story. So you are right. I'm from San Jose, as we mentioned on the the Backrooms episode last week. Those of us in the Bay Area know this to be super specific. I don't think if you're not from that area, it loses anything. I think it's still just funny. But he's using mannequins. He's using rubber legs. He's using props. He's using practical effects. I mean, there's some great VFX here too. But he's got some really specific stuff. There's another scene where Don Cheadle plays this made-up pot-bellied, like community leader or pyramid scheme leader.
Okay. No. Okay, so this was a whole thing that kicked up right around the pandemic. Oh my God, I forgot. We never talked about this. So right around the pandemic, there was definitely a kick up of I forgot what they were called, but they were basically like, okay, let's say you have 6 friends. You and pick up 5 of your favorite bros, and y'all all have to have $1,000. And at any point, one friend can be like, hey guys, I need a $6,000 loan. And you guys loan him the money.
We all pitch in.
Everybody has to kind of do it at one point. So it's sort of a vibe. I've heard of people who have done this, and it's kind of this idea of especially, I remember this specifically in the Black community of like, we can loan to each other. Like, we don't need to depend on anybody else. We can loan to each other. Yes, Black banks exist and are around, but these all end up being like pyramid schemes. Technically, if they're not amongst the 6 friends of you that know each other, and you got to go grab 3 other people to give their $50. And then everybody kind of gives $50 to get in and then rises to the top. That means you always have to have a new influx of people. And when it all ends, there's that whole wave that will never get paid. You have to always be recruiting. So I remember this woman and I were in a wedding together, and I remember she was like really pushing it. And it was $100, right? It didn't sound like a lot, but I remember when she said it to me, I remember thinking to myself, she doesn't understand, but anybody who's willing to give $100 to get to like their 1,000, they in bigger trouble than you think. And you shouldn't target those individuals because they're very desperate people. Like, these are people. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're hearing you're going to get something for nothing These are
Yep.
you have to, that's when you're in a very specific financial dynamic. Now, I was not working at this time, but I do remember thinking, thank freaking God, I'm not crazy. This is just a pyramid scheme, even though
That's right. Yeah.
it has some heart behind it. So
Yeah.
when Don Cheadle is getting up talking about, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly how people were pitching it too. I knew about 3 other groups that were like doing the same thing, and I'm like, y'all, how do we say pyramid scheme? Like, this is
Yep.
literally
Well,
this
and
is
he passes out these pink pieces of paper with a pyramid, and you write your name in the pyramid. So
yes.
he, to his credit, he's doing this whole bit, and I
Right.
didn't know any of that rich background that you did. So the film is speaking to you, and it's speaking to me, and it's making it funny at the same time, and it's doing character development at
Yeah.
the same time. You
Yes,
know?
and then he has like, you can be closer to that sphere of influence or whatever the heck. I swear,
Exactly.
they all had that kind of like, and this is how we help our brothers and our sisters out. Just last week, so and so had
Right.
$1,000. They were able to pay their rent. You're like, whoa, that's a beautiful story, but this is all a Bernie Madoff, but
Type of
in a
thing.
bad way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
But-
people weren't doing it to rip their friends and family off. They were believing it as a system, not realizing it is the definition
Yeah.
of a pyramid
Yeah.
scheme.
But these are the topics in which Boots Riley lives. In Sorry to Bother You, the telemarketer construct was a pyramid scheme. We have one here. So these women are trying to boost fashion, sell them on the street. But our lead, Keke Palmer, she's also a designer, so she has a vested interest in that profession. But then they go to these meetings, which are in furniture stores. It was a little backrooms callback, and Don Cheadle is leading this little ragtag group because everyone's trying to figure out how do we afford how to live here in the Bay Area, and we only have
Yeah,
so
they're
many
the- and
economic
they're
opportunities. We
also-
can't get every job we want, you know.
They're in a furniture store, but that's why I said, like, is he really like a communist or socialist? Because that is in and of itself him poking fun at those types of systems, which is like, don't worry, we're all going to be taken care of. Everybody
right.
below. And that's why I was like,
Right.
he seems to have commentary about it all. He seems to have commentary
sure.
about
I agree with
a
you.
socialist attitude or a communist one or a capitalist one. They all have their faults. And that's kind of the genius of the film. He doesn't miss a group. And that's where I was like, I don't know. I watched this film and it's a little more forward about certain world politics than whatchamacallit.
Sorry to Bother You?
Yeah,
Yeah. I think you're right.
it's a little more global than Sorry to Bother You. And the same thing with the factories. I thought it was funny because you call them a sweatshop. That is a typical factory making clothes overseas. The thing about it is like we're so far removed. We don't know how long these people work and at what time. Notice there was no children, right? It wasn't like there were some kids. They were just being told they need to work
That's true. He
longer
avoided
hours.
that. Yeah.
They were working in harmful conditions, but it really depends on the country that you're making these products out of and what their laws are. They may be in cooperation with their laws. So I thought it was a really deep film speaking to just what, who are we in humanity if we don't care about people getting cancer making our genes?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's making, it's poking at all of the systems.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Bong Joon-ho as well, like Parasite. These are class comedies, which is just such an interesting genre. We don't see it a lot about. I mean, we had Trading Places in the 80s. That was kind of a class comedy, but it was far more parody, whereas this is probably more satire, I would say, and it's more current.
Yeah.
And it even felt a little bit superhero-ish. I mean, there's a little bit of supernatural stuff that happens. We won't spoil it for the listener, but to your point, Mia, there are these manufacturing facilities that are really horrible, and people are getting sick from sandblast denim over in Asia. There's a character played by Poppy Liu. She comes over to the U.S. to get revenge, and then she finds Keke Palmer, Taylor Page, and Naomi Atkins. She joins. So it's this foursome that you see in the trailer, and she helps them boost. And the whole plot is how can they get revenge against Demi Moore's evil character? And there's spoofs on, live Instagramming. Demi Moore has a great assistant who plays that part pitch perfect, I think. And I don't know if you saw Mia, but Kara Young from Is God Is. She was Racine in Is God Is. She's
Oh yes,
in
I
this
did.
in a news
Yeah,
clip.
she had me
Yeah,
laughing.
yeah, she's
Well,
wonderful.
she's like,
yeah,
yeah, she plays one of the men's suits characters, but
yes,
it's interesting too because like, okay, so the boosters, they are not like angry or like the
that's true. That's a good point.
antagonist to Demi Moore, but when they realize they're kind of on her radar and
Ah,
they're
yes,
getting
yes,
kind of how do it's almost like they're feeling a little bit more slighted by her desire to sell to the community but doesn't want to represent the community. You get what I'm saying? Like she doesn't
yep,
really care, but she wants to make money off the community. And I feel like
for
that's
sure.
the part where they go, you know what? Let's go ahead, because it's like at that point they're not boosting clothes. I mean, the boosting that they were doing where they're selling it, right? They're
Yeah,
not doing
yeah,
that
yeah.
after a while. They're literally
That's true.
just trying to get Demi Moore's character to set fairer working conditions for the factories.
Right,
So they're kind of they're dark heroes
right.
in a sense.
They
They're
are.
not
They
the
are.
type of
And then
heroes that have this big purpose. They're just
it doesn't have
doing
that
their
quite that
thing.
moral clarity. Yeah, you're right.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and there is some crazy stuff. I mean, for anybody that has seen his previous two pieces of great entertainment, sorry to bother you. There's some stop motion and creature stuff there at the end. You remember? And then I don't
Oh
know if you
yes,
ever saw
okay.
the Amazon series "I'm a Virgo," which was about the 19-year-old who is 13 feet tall. Do you remember this?
Right.
A couple years
Okay.
ago.
I do remember this a few years ago. This came out.
So Boots
Yes.
Riley loves absurd parody. He loves creature effects. He loves surrealism. And so there's a part in this film, I Love Boosters, when some creatures appear and there's stop motion stuff and it jumps its own shark and then jumps it again and it's in on its own joke. And I think you're right, Mia, that he's making fun of everything, including himself, including the technique. It just gets so absurd. I don't know. Do you think that that part of the film, this is in the third act, we're not going to spoil it for you folks, but it gets wacky. Do you think that that will put people off from this picture? Do you think people will
Okay.
like that? What do you think?
I think that when people originally see this, they're wondering, hmm, okay, it sits in a specific genre where I feel like some people don't want to see, how do I say this? Some people don't want to see Black people doing negative things. So I remember seeing the title, I Love Boosters. I don't
Right?
know if you remember all of the news articles that were coming out of the Bay Area during the pandemic of people literally like driving down to, and
Oh, yeah.
pulling shit out of the, like, even, out
Yeah, all
of
the
the Louis
looting and
Vuitton
stuff. Yeah.
stores. Yes, all the looting. So I first, when I saw the previews, I remember thinking, I wonder if you're gonna have to be brave and be willing to go see this
Yeah. Yeah.
and know that you're there to have fun. But I do remember thinking, for some people, they're gonna stay away from it because they feel
Yeah.
like they're making a they feel like they're kind of glorifying or supporting a kind of a violent activity that's
Right.
happening in the world. So I felt like this had some edge to it. I was like, is anybody going to really get what this is? This
Yeah.
is
I think that's a
going
good
to
point.
be funny.
Yes.
But you know how it gets. People just feel like
I
they don't
sure
want to
do.
support that
People
moment.
loved, I know. I
Right.
know. People
But I
loved
think
weapons
he's
last year.
right, but he said weapons. But I think that's what Boots Riley seems to want to pull out in this
Yes.
film, is just sort of like humanize and help people realize that all of these things are related to elements of
For sure.
either
They're all
poverty
connected.
or
Yeah.
a lack of opportunities. They are
Yep.
what happens to so many people out in like there's so many people who are in like the Gen Z and millennial groups that are just like, okay, am I going to buy a house? Am I going to be able to do these things? And it's
Sure.
like, it's a
Sure.
very relatable film, but it's using a very extreme kind of like, but
Yeah.
there's
Premise and
always
structure.
been,
Yeah.
and premise and
Yeah.
structure. Yeah, exactly.
But, The profusion of ideas is one of the greatest things about it, including a really big one that we haven't talked about yet, which is art versus the artist. And I'm going to ask you about that right after this break. So Mia, there's a scene, I don't think this is a spoiler, but it's when Keke Palmer is talking to Demi Moore, and Demi Moore is like, I make art on human landscapes. And Keke Palmer is like, people don't want to be the art, they want to be the artist. And as Boots Riley, this multimedia artist, music, performance
I
art,
think it's
fashion.
her assistant. It's her assistant, not Keke Palmer. She's like, get out there, get to work, we're going to do this. And she's like, I don't think people... Is it her or is it Keke Palmer? Damn, I think it's the assistant says something clap back at her.
Yeah, well,
Like,
and she's a pretty good character too, pretty well performed. But I just thought that and that's Boots Riley. He's going to talk about art versus artist in a piece of art by an artist that he is. It's just this wonderful little like nesting doll. I don't know. Did that work for you? All that heady kind of intellectual side of this?
I thought it was like very true to what creative people can be like, you know, just very lost in the philosophy sometimes. And it happens where you have a hard time communicating with other people. And I think they took that to the extreme with Demi Moore's character, which comes up. You know what I'm talking about. It comes up with creatives all the time where they cannot talk to that department because they can't really, they're like, well, we want it because it's the right, like, aura, it needs to be important. They'll say things that, people from finance are just doing this. So is that the $3 million we need to put up, or is that less? Right. There's a dynamic where I think they just took that character and they made her so extreme, and they kind of mixed her in with what I think is like fashion and academia, which can be like a complete nightmare. So it's like, I feel like they kind of pulled her into that.
Yes.
And you kind of pick up on the controlling elements of her. Is she an artist, or is she someone who just needs a lot of control? And I think that was kind of the question with her character, and you start to realize it's about control. Yeah, we need these clothes. Tell everyone to keep working, or I'd make it myself, or it's easier for me to make it myself than to have you make it. It's that kind of like, it's that space where I feel like with some creatives, I always say there's a fine freaking line between genius and insanity. And some creatives really are just insane. No, I'm being serious. Some are just really insane. Like, you're just like, you got to live in on Earth with people.
And Hollywood itself is full of them. I mean, creative genius is genius, but genius often comes at the expense of other skills, talents, or mental muscles like socializing and courtesy and empathy and some of those things. But Boots Riley makes me think of Spike Lee. He makes me think of Pedro Almodovar, Michel Gondry from Eternal Sunshine. Remember Eternal Sunshine, The Spotless Mind?
Oh, I see.
The Daniels, who did Everything Everywhere. And then we just saw Is God Is. When we saw Aisha Harris's picture, I was like, she has got so many ideas, and they're woven so well together. So this is definitely a movie. This is not a movie for folks who want an easy watch with tidy narrative structures and tropes. There are no tropes. There are only the tropes of making fun of the tropes. So this is asking a lot of work, but it's also just hysterical. There's so many great one-liners. There's so many great bits. When she does the Green Store, and Will Poulter, who was in Warfare, and he's been in so many great films. He plays the ridiculous manager of this green store, and the soundtrack is death metal, and it must be turned up at super loud volume, and his employees can't talk to him. I mean, there's just all these, and that's just one bit again of like 30. There's so much to enjoy in this film. I think you can come at it and say, this is just a slapstick comedy, I'm going to love it. This is a socio-capitalist message, I'm going to love it.
Right.
I think there really is something for everyone. I wish it was doing better. The budget was about 20 million. As of early June, it was only making 8 million. Sorry to bother you, didn't get great results. I'm a Virgo was not renewed on Amazon after a season. So he's
I
clearly
think he
super
does.
talented, you know,
I think
but
his concepts, though, and I heard about this with Is God Is, where people were like,
yeah,
is it the title? And I'm like, yes, that title gives a very specific
it's awkward.
mood. I love
Yeah, or
boosters.
specific.
Like
Yeah.
I said, it seemed to me like once people saw the previews, it's got a I don't know if you were around in the '90s for those Friday type movies or I don't know, just films that are very tight. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. No, this is shaggy.
they're
This is
it's
messy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's got something to it that I'm like, I do feel like there's something very more nostalgic to it. I think you're
Right.
gonna have to. I don't know. Would I recommend it to everybody? I will definitely say what it is. It's funny as hell, and talk
For
about a
sure.
film that knows how to lay off its metaphor when necessary. Sometimes some of
Yes.
these movies are just like beating these metaphors like
That's true.
on the
Yep.
head, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's not good. It's not a movie anymore.
Yep.
So this was fun. It was fun. I'm recommending it.
Agreed. Agreed. Before we go, let's pretend that you and I are part of the same crew. You bring a friend, I bring a friend. We have four, just like in I Love Boosters. What would you boost, and what would your role be?
Oh, what am I boosting?
Yeah, what are we boosting here? Yeah, let's pretend it's New
Ooh.
York. Let's pretend
Shit.
we choose a boutique in Soho. What are we boosting?
Oh no! Oh damn!
That's a tough
Ooh, I
location.
don't
I know.
know. That's a tough location. That's a tough
Okay, so any location in
location.
America, let's say. I mean, this one was in San Francisco, but what would you boost
Okay.
if you, let's say, had to, if you were in that
Damn.
situation?
Damn. Handbags, it looks easy. They're not. But I think handbags are the easiest to sell if you had to.
Right.
Like when she was trying to find the right shoe size for somebody. That's a long night. So the handbag story, damn, that might be as far as I'd be willing to go because
Yeah.
clothes, I'm a no. I am a no.
I think that's too problematic. And then what would your role be?
I'm in the van again. Or
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So
I'm
you're
in
the
the
getter,
van.
you're the driver, you're the wheels.
I'm the wheels. I'd be really
Okay.
good wheels. You might not even be in the like. Wait, I'm going to the car. Slow it down.
Do you drive? Are you a good driver?
Oh, I'm a driver, baby. I'm a lead foot.
Okay. Okay. Now we're talking. Okay.
I
Well,
can
I would
handle the
definitely be the
driving.
person. Okay, you're doing the driving. I want to be the person who's not doing the stealing. I'm the con man distractor. Like, hey, can you help me? I'm working with the staff. Hey, can you help me with this?
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking for a fish spatula or a fish turner. It needs to be a spatula that has a long handle, and I want some nice heavy weight. Can you show me this over here? Oh, is that an ice cream maker?
Oh.
I'm doing all of that. So then you're putting all these long handled fish spatulas, which are what I like to use for almost. I want like some kitchenware. I don't need clothes. You're putting them in your shorts. Oh no, you're the wheels. That's right. Okay, so our two friends are putting them
Look,
in their
the other
attire.
friends.
Okay, that can work.
But I'm
That can
like,
work.
you know what? The distraction works. It does work.
Yes,
That's
it
a
does.
secondary
It does.
role. Like if Joey's not feeling well, like, hey, I'm not feeling well for today's booze. I'll do distractions.
Right.
Yeah. But
Right.
I
Okay.
can't be
I like
sweating walking out of the store though. That's not
No,
gonna
I
work for
agree.
me.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Well, we loved it. We think that you should see it. I think, Mia, this is Oscars on it. I think it should win. I really hope it gets nominated for costumes and makeup. The makeup is insane. Like, when have we seen this color lip liner and eyeshadow? And folks, there are costumes for days. There are montages where these four women pop out of a van once, twice, three times, four times, all in different outfits. They are going wild. This is an acid trip costume design movie. I hope it picks up that nomination. I think that would be great for
Okay,
Shirley
I'm the
Carrata and the
opposite.
team.
I'm the
What?
opposite. I'm like,
What?
I feel like the Oscars would make this movie seem cheesy. Like, it is the best. Honestly,
You're saying
guys,
just
is
if it gave it a
awesome
nomination?
costumes. Even if it got a nomination, I say leave this one alone. This one's going to be a cult classic. I think this one's going to be laughed at for a very, very long time and referenced.
I agree, but I don't think a nomination would hinder that legacy. I really think that this type of stuff should be recognized because it is so creative and inventive. This is all original stuff. This is not period. This is not, Robert Eggers who went to Vienna and found these old clothes that vampires used to wear. It's like, it's not that. That's academia. That's study and sourcing. This is like Boots Riley and Shirley Kurata in some insane warehouse in Oakland.
Yeah.
Being
No, the
insane. It is
costumes are
so
killer.
creative.
Costumes,
it is so creative.
wigs, makeup, it's all amazing.
Yes.
I still think
Yes.
it's cool. It's cool without the Oscar. That's where I'm at.
I totally
Sometimes-
agree. But I'm not an Oscars hater, and I think that the Oscars
I
are
know.
doing better at recognizing the full breadth of creative talent.
Okay.
And I
Then
just,
I'll
I
give
just
this one.
hope it gets
Give
some
this one a
recognition.
casting nod. I would give this one a
Oh,
casting
great cast!
nod.
Unbelievable cast.
This was
Yeah.
a fun
Yeah.
cast. They seem to they actually seem to be having fun on the set. So
Yes. Yes.
give it
True.
a casting nod.
Well, I'm glad we covered this in an early episode of season 2 because next week Mia is bringing us a whole episode devoted to crime. So today we talk about I Love Boosters. That's 50 years of crime and heist movies in cinema. We got a lot of great stuff to watch. Look out for our newsletter if you'd like to watch a couple of these things before next week's episode. But next week is all about crime, brought to you by Ms. Mia Ward, right here on Do You See What I Mean?